Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin, I like to give all praise, all glory, all honor unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Ruach Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great mercy. As always, I say Shalom unto the elect. It's your brother Isaiah coming back to you with another video. Lord will, this video will be edifying. Alright, I don't really know what I'm gonna title it yet. May title it Isaiah 32 and verse 9. And as you could see here, video on the screen, I ain't gonna play it. At this point, we know where it is, you the nigga woman, but you could see from my watch history from this morning. Right, all on these bitches and them. So that's what inspired the video, and immediately that scripture coming to mind. Because pursuing to the destruction that is to come upon the four corners of this earth, right? Mostly women gonna be affected. Scripture talk about them being the weaker vessel, right? So when hardship come, when tough times hit, is they gonna be mostly affected, right? I was going through these videos, this morning, and I was just thinking the audacity of these bitches. Yeah, somebody thoughts to come to my mind, the audacity of these bitches. And you know, mostly, right, some was going into how women lonely, right, which, you know, Isaiah 4 and 1, that piece are gonna come to your mind, Isaiah 4 and 1. Most of these women lonely. I'm complaining about how men now in the dating scene no more, right, the organizing events for men and women to click up and meet each other and, you know, go on dates and things. And the men not coming because men don't care. The men see, the men see the forest beyond the trees, you could say. Right, they'll present themselves as, you know, women you should want to be with, or as women that, you know, ideal, you know, they're desperate for a relationship, and, you know, it could be 8 years into a marriage. I've seen some latter videos, 8 years into a marriage, 10 years into a marriage, and then now finding out them chain is not yours. And it was mostly the nigga woman at the helm of it, right? So now the nigga woman is both in the ones that was complaining about not having a man and not being on the dating scene, right? And then a man in come and knock on the door in how much ever years, or a man in DM them in how much ever years is mostly the nigga woman. But in the videos where you see infidelity at play, it's all the nigga woman. I saw one white woman. I try to remember. I saw one white woman, so-called white woman, and it's because you couldn't miss. She's a whale, a large woman. So it's a fucking bull ring, and she knows, as the lemon as Zach Bar would say. So you couldn't miss she, right? So that probably how I remember why it was so easy for me to remember she. But other than that, can't really remember seeing the white woman in the infidelity videos. But there's a lot of infidelity going on with these bitches, hence the destruction had to come. Right, that was Isaiah 32 and 9, 32, I think from, let me see, from verse 9 came to mind, right? But before I get that, I wanted to get Sirach 26 and 25, I believe. Was it 25, 26? 26 and 25. I started. So, give me any wickedness. So I thought, so like, yeah, 25 and 13, and then I'll jump back to 26. This Sirach 25. 25 and 13. It says, give me any plague but the plague of the heart. So it's, rather suffer any plague but the plague of the heart, and our heart, they go back to Labab. It's the Hebrew word for mind. So any plague but the plague of the mind, and we, right, especially in these Jake neighborhoods, these ghettos, you see man suffering plague of the mind. The experience of growing up with an older brother that was suffering from plague of the mind, and that is something I never wanted to go through. Right, so I could understand the sentiment he has here as to why he would say any plague but the plague of the mind, because I used to be smitten with madness. Right, you could say that is what took place in Nebuchadnezzar when he was transformed from a man to beast. He went mad. Right, you didn't want to go through that. And then they're like, in that same thing, right? That same thing, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman. Right? Because that is just like one of the worst things to suffer from in this earth. You could, as I see in it, I was watching the videos this morning, and men supporting and providing for these, and for years. Married to these women for years. Maintaining the lifestyle for them for years. I see a man buy a whole Audi for a woman, a $50,000 car, and she was so unappreciative. She wanted a Porsche, and he bought us an Audi, a $50,000 car for her. And she's still unappreciative of that. So, you see it, the ungrateful, as one of the things I was seeing prevalent in these videos. Was very ungrateful and very quick to shift the blame. Very quick to not take accountability. Scripture talk about a woman will, let me get a thing like Proverbs. Wipe her mouth. Proverbs 30. It says, Proverbs 30 and verse 20. It says, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness. So you see in these women, they were justifying what I was doing. They're saying, yeah, I was just one time, I don't care about you, I care about you, and he don't mean nothing to me and all kind of. So if your husband is who you really care about, what you went and fuck on your head for, it doesn't make any sense, and they can't see the logic behind it. It's to the point where that I firmly believe the Lord, pursuing to scripture as well, Job 39 and 17, that he had given her no wisdom, right? Because she can't sit down and see the loyal to the emotions. She can't sit down and see the wickedness what she doing there, and sit down and see that something wrong with what she doing there. Because they're justifying it. They're literally saying no, they're literally standing up and arguing with her husband and justifying and saying, well, what's going on? Oh, Lord, this child is not yours, me and you go take care of him together. And she not seeing a problem with that. And at first, when I was younger, right, I used to sit down and watch her and be like, these bitches had to be lying. These bitches had to either they're real fucking stupid, or they had to be lying, because how you can sit down and see something wrong with that situation, how? These women literally saying down and just trying to say, well, yeah, although it's not your child and the child didn't come from your seed, you will still live for how? Right? But as it says, such is the way of a wicked woman. She eats it and wipe it her mouth and said, I have done no wickedness. This is why we don't we don't feel no pity for these bitches, right? These bitches will sit down and complain for years with you. Complain about everything, how the house running, the order you have them underneath. Complain how you ain't taking them out no way to eat. Ain't doing nothing for them all the while they're fucking on your head, and them ain't considering that they fucking on your head. There's something wrong with that. They know they're fucking on your head and still they'll come home and complain, well, you ain't doing nothing for them. how you could justify that? With the justice in that. Right? Women have no sense of honor about them. Right? Because if I was, to treat someone badly, of course without them knowing, because that is a woman that do it without their husband knowing, there's masters of that, but there's always find out. There's always do it without the husband knowing, And so them have the secret in their power. They know they've been fucking on the husband head. Yet still no sense of shame will come about them. That's why I wanted to go to Sirach 26 and 25. They have no shame. This is why we call these bitches bitches, because they're bitches. If you could say biblical, to call a woman a bitch, to call these bitches bitches, is biblical. The scripture, them get I believe it in when it read it in James, it actually say the word bitch, use the word bitch. Let me take off that first. Where is it? Sirach 26 and 20. Right. Sirach 26 and 25. It says, a self-willed woman is a bitch, but a woman with sense of decency honors the Lord Yahweh Shem Yoshai. How she honor the Lord Yahweh Shem Yoshai? I honor and she husband. Right? Apostle Paul gave the order, 1 Corinthians 11. The head of every man is so Yahweh Shem Yoshai. The head of Mashiach is the father. Right? So Yahweh on top. The head of Mashiach. Afterwards is Mashiach, because the Lord had given all things into his hand. Right? Then after Mashiach is the man. That is the order. And then underneath the man is the woman. So that woman had to go up that chain of command. They don't get to the father and the son without going through the man. Like the scripture talk about they shall be saved through childbirth. They need a man to be saved. The elect woman will need the elect men to be saved. Not the other way around, because some men might be eunuchs eternally. Scripture talk about that. Some men are made eunuchs to the kingdom of heaven's sake. So that men can get into the kingdom without these women. Women is not the other way. It don't work the same for women. So the women need these men. Right? The scripture calling them bitches. These women shameless. They have no honor about them. Them go sit down and come home and have the gall to complain. God abroad, as the scripture make mention of, God abroad. Right, open the big fat mouth and spew all that nonsense and all that shit like they're not fucking on their head. And they're going about it like that because they have the honor, these things, honor, integrity, respect. These things wasn't given unto them. At first I used to sit down and think, nah, these women playing, because how you could see that how you cannot see so like because they can't see. How can you not see that is a dishonorable thing you're doing? How can you not raise your sense of shame? You have none. Right? We'll go back to the scripture. So Act 26 and 25. It says 24, sir. 25 was the best scripture, right? But 24 it says, a dishonest woman contemplates shame, but an honest woman will reverence and honor. Why if you see the shameful situations these women was putting themselves in loud, and everybody and the neighborhood know about she and she husband business because she's dishonest. I see this conversation with men providing proof with fucking DNA. She say the child is not mine and she lying to the very end. Lying to the how you arguing against science? How are you? This makes no sense. How are you arguing against science? These women freaking waiting till it's 10 minutes and going on and I come 5-10 minutes and going on in a conversation. And the man start the conversation by providing proof and she arguing, she crying. I say, nah, that's not true, till she finds until she finds that when she does admit it, she trying to justify it. But yeah, but that was one time all those years ago, that meant nothing to me. Being an infidel means nothing, because they have no shame, they have no honor about them. So that brings me to Isaiah 32, reading at verse 9, because this is what we're going to come upon, because you always going to face. Because the world is majority women. Scripture talk about be fruitful and multiply. One man and multiple women could do that work better than if it was a monogamous one-to-one relationship. So you could say the Lord intended from the start for men for the relationship to be a man with multiple women, not a woman with multiple men, nor a one-to-one relationship. But for the earth to be replenished and filled with people, you need a man with more than one wife. Right? It just makes sense. And the reason Isaiah 4 and 1 is about to come to pass. Right? So, Isaiah 32 and verse 9 it says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech," because you always going to face the burns of the destruction. It's going to be mostly women that are going to be sacrificed, you could say. Right? Because scripture talk that calamitous time about to come upon the four corners of the earth. They could do say research is mostly. I'll go into Gemini now and just look it up. Are there more women on the earth than men? Which the answer is yes. And what is the ratio? Which our ratio provides right. So we should provide a number like a 1-to-1 number. So for every one, you say at 5 red marbles and 10 blue marbles. For every 1 red marbles, there are 2 blue marbles, right? So that basically our ratio is like an example of our ratio. So it says, these are goddamn right. You see among the Jakes with this. Right, so this is true. Above here seems to be a lie. This is not biblical. But here, when we get to the Jake communities, it says that I wanted to zero in on the Jake communities, because the Jake communities, there are more Jakes on the air than everybody else. And is the black woman, right, the nigger woman, the Jake woman is who's going to feel the burnt tire about Shirat, right? All the wicked are people, yes, but it's more women to men, right? So it says here, it says the ratio of women within the ratio of men to women within the black and the Latino populations differ significantly from the global average. While the world generally has slightly more men, which is false and not biblical, it says these specific groups, particularly in the United States, tend to have more women. You can never have 8 billion plus people on the earth and most of them is men. It makes no sense. And it couldn't be a 1-to-1 ratio. It doesn't make any sense. You can't multiply fast on a large scale like that. It says, because getting together and having babies, there's a multiplication scenario. Right? Because one man and one woman could have multiple babies. It just had to be one. It could be twins, could be triplets. Some cases I hear about quadruplets, right? And the Lord told us to be fruitful and multiply. 1 + 1 equaling 1, that's not multiplication. So that has to be a lie, right? If that is the case among the Edomite population, they could say that, because scripture talk about thou art made small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised, right? So being small, it goes, not only does it go into the stature and the reverence, nobody no longer fears the white man or reverences the white man or who is the white man in high regard as they did before. That's slowly shifting to the black man, so-called black man, the so-called white man. No man no longer holds either white man in high regard. They turn into the Jake man, but it also talks about a number, right? They're not reproducing as fast as possible. They're not reproducing as much as possible, right? So I go here. It says the ratios are influenced by three main factors: birth rates, life expectancy, and social factors. Right? Social factors, of course, you go into jail. There are more black men in jail than any other group of people on the earth. So, and then the next ones up should be the Latinos. Right? So, Scripture also talks about in Exodus, the first chapter, the more they oppress them, the more they multiplied. Right? So how Jake does deal with the problem, how Jake says deal with the problems, it's only going to lead to more babies and more women than men. It says, the black population, one of the most pronounced female majorities of any ethnic group. Right? When I go to the adult gap, it says it's about 83 men for every 100 women, and that's gonna drastically prophesy to improve as well from 83 men. That 83 men could go down to about 7, literally. 1 for time it can literally go down to the number 7. Because when they go to 2nd Ezra 16 chapter, it talks about the men being discarded off for war, the men being killed off in war, and the widows being left in the mourning because they have no husbands, and the virgins mourning because they have no bridegrooms, there's nobody to marry them. Right? So that's going to lead to Isaiah 4:1. Isaiah 4:1, prophecy concerning this fact. Right? So the ideology that it's a 1-to-1 ratio now. Right? That's not biblically sound. Right? Me go into that in the next video. Right? But that was just to indicate to you all that is mostly women going to be judged, and mostly women abundantly Jake's going to be judged, especially the nigga woman, because the nigga woman is most thoughtful. Most of the videos I was watching, just debauchery, and like, well, withstand many days and years shall he be troubled, the careless woman, for the vintage shall fail the sustenance, because some are not going to be able to provide for them anymore. So they're going to be left hung out to dry. The gathering shall not come, right? This ability where they have to go into the grocery stores, they're going to be cut. This ability where they could just go on a phone and call somebody to get food, they're going to be cut. Right? All of that going to come to an end. Yahweh Hashem Shine, the man, they're going to have to depend on them. They are not women of the Lord, neither are they men of the Lord. So what's going to take place? Salakia, they're going to be fuel for the fire. Verse 11, tremble the women that are at ease, you trouble the careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, good sackcloth upon your loins. So they're gonna from right, Salak. They're gonna go from having access to all these things that make them, because some of these women with the goblins underneath. Yeah, some of these you take that makeup off the face, wipe off that makeup with alcohol off the face, you can like serious monsters out there. So all the things when it says strip you and make you bare, gonna take away the ability where you have to make yourself look nice. That gone. It speaks about this in Isaiah the 3rd chapter. That gone, the access to weave gone. Right? So it is used to ensnare men. Right? Scripture talk about the look upon a woman for she beauty. Right? Where it is used to ensnare men and get men trapped out here, they're gonna be taken away from you. Right? As you have seen some of the women was complaining about carrying me to get my nails done, carrying me to get who you want your nails and toes done for, who you trying to look good for. Right? So your tactics if you come into adultery, they're gonna be taken away from you. Verse 12, they shall lament They shall lament for the teats, right? For the pleasant field, for the fruitful vine. They're going to holler and wail, right? Because they're not going to have access to all the dainties at Egypt, right? Scripture talk about them, say, woe unto you, put your trust in Egypt. Like Isaiah 36 and 6. So I cannot want to, but it just says, no, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt. Whereon if a man need it will go into his hand and pierce it. So it's Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. So ultimately, it's gonna be left who don't die, right? And who not, are elect ladies, because scripture talk about the elect lady. If you don't fit that bill, you're ultimately gonna get, killed off in Jacob's trouble, or you're gonna receive a charagma, right? They don't see no other way, right? Because I want to trust in Egypt, which then gonna lead to your destruction, gonna be fuel for this fire. So ultimately, for all your wicked acts, right, your adulterous lifestyle which you refuse to put away, right? Because scripture talk when I wish I did forgive the harlot, we tell she, right? Is there anyone to condemn you? She said, no, neither do I condemn thee. The sins are forgiven, but what? Go and do it no more. Right? So you see these women in an unrepentant lifestyle. You see these women in an unrepentant mindset. So we're going to take place with them, death and destruction. So, Lord will this video was edifying and you will edify in close. It's a call halal yamla yahawa bahasham yahawashi bahasham kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great mercy, as always, shalom unto the elect.